ऐसे बदल की तो सभी का जाएगा ना सरकार है तो उसमें हासिल है पास से भी बहुत बच्चों इस स्टाइल का नमस्कार मनु जी। तो सेट कर लो। जब तैयार हो ना स्टार्ट करें। थोड़ा लंबा खींचेगा, ठीक है? आगे तक जाएगा सेशन 10 मिनट फिक्स है। जैसे आप कहें मैं बता दूँ। स्टार्ट करें। Good morning. Good morning to everybody. So today our MMPH 004, this is the last block number 4 we have to discuss. That is the subject is your course is industrial
and employment relations. Today, the unit number 15, that is industrial conflict. So, we have to discuss about the conflict, and the details is the contents of the unit number 15. That is an introduction that we have to try to understand what is the concept of the conflict. Then what are the industrial conflict? Then type of conflicts and effects of the conflict, approaches to conflict resolution, then conflict resolution styles, then concept and the definition of the industrial dispute, then international labor organizations, that is ILO, as disputes, then classification of the industrial disputes, and causes of industrial disputes, different the form of the industrial factors, the actions also, and how to settle the industrial disputes in the Indian perspectives, then the proposed changes as per the provisions, and contained in the industrial relations code number 2020. So that is a recent development. I mean, lot of amendment and a lot of clauses are regulations are added, and in the industrial relations perspectives in the 2020. That also we have to touch upon. Now, first, you see the conflict. As I say, in any environment, even maybe in any institution or in the organizations or in any companies or in the social systems where you are living, so conflict is always there because it is unavoidable. You cannot avoid it. Differences, in the individual differences will be there. Different ideas and the designers, different perceptions, and basically the needs of a person are different. So that's why the conflict are breeding. Basically, the conflict are coming because of that. And basically, it is a state of opposition, because when you are any ideas or something, where you are. So sometimes it may be agreed, sometimes it may be disagreed. So disagreement, and sometimes it is not comfortable, means it is not satisfying or not giving a happiness. So that's why sometimes it is created some of the problems, and conflict starts. And conflicts can be between two persons or more than two. So it is as per the Patriot Projects 2012 and the Wilmount and the Hawkers 2001. He has described the things. Other definitions are there. There is a difference among the individuals. That is around, he has surveyed, he has already in these reports, 2001 industrial, he has surveyed and all these things. The conflict including the ideas, goals, and the competitions, and for the resources can lead the conflict. That Fleetwood and the Karen L. 1987, they have described, they have discovered, not discovered, but basically they have, based on the survey, the report, they have submitted and they have find out, that is their findings, that because of the most of the cases, the industrial conflict, in regards to industrial conflict, the ideas, goals, and the competitions, because of the lot of conflict are occurred. It leads to the conflict. One of the most influential explanations of the industrial conflict is suggested by the work of human relations school. And this viewpoint has its origins in the Hawthorne, because Hawthorne experiments and the research of Elton Mayo, although it has undergone the consideration revision since that time, because what the Elton Mayo has findings, he has gone through the lot of testing and lot of observed based on their relationships, good communications, and the supervision of to improve the employee moral, efficiency, and job satisfaction. Central idea because of these are finally it is the important. They have found it out, and they are, as such they have recommended that this is the area where we have to look after. Very much important to reduce the conflict. The area, one of the areas, the relationships, informal relationships to be developed, to be more meeting, more interactions are required. Another is this they have observed this is a good communication because most of the cases, because of the communication problems, the conflict has arisen. And the supervisions, because supervision is required, because without any supervision you cannot identify what is going on inside the employees or inside the individuals or in the atmosphere, in the environment also as such. So you have to alert, you have to be vigilant about the things. Supervision at the sense of the behavioral pattern of the human natures, with the employees' natures, that has to be observed and current database to be prepared. This is the situation is going on, and then it will be helped to the analysis further. And so, and no doubt, undoubtedly, job satisfaction is another one of the area is very important because any employee cannot do or cannot growth the things without job satisfactions because the satisfaction is very important. Now, as an integral member of the School of Community, we have you would have probably faced. Everybody have faced a lot of problems in the social life, in the institution areas. Conflict is always there. How down the level of conflict, and there are types. So now we have to see there are derived lot of types are there, and levels, different levels. So one thing is a conflict within an individual. So within an individual, conflict can be. Then between the individuals, conflict can be. And then another conflict between an individual and a group. That is also one of the things. And conflict between the groups within an organizations also. And conflict between organizations. Between organizations to organizations, conflict can be there. Most of the competitors, they can product exchanges or something. So there some sort of conflict is there. Now, basic type of conflicts. That is a interpersonal conflict because the conflict occurs in the personal himself. It arises within an individual when his motives or drives are blocked because somebody has a good idea, but superiors or the supervisors or boss, he is not allowed to express his ideas. Or what about the, so that's why it is sometimes he is stuck off, means cannot do it, always he has just wait for the instruction only. What about the instruction is coming from the boss or seniors? He has just only follow. He are not taking any ideas to speed up the things because his drives motivation is not there. So person faces there are two different decisions also because he cannot take the appropriate decisions and as he faces competing objectives and others role also. Sometimes there are two alternatives. It seems to be a good, both the alternatives are very good. So sometimes he is confused, you are not taking the the decisions properly. Maybe a lot of other objectives are there is mind, gain, loss, lot of things are there. So what are the objectives he is competing? So that's why the conflict also coming in mind, and he cannot do the proper way. So it is a interpersonal conflict basically. So that is 2010 Chand he has written things. The conflict within the individual is usually related to the value, where there is no conformity between his role and his value and beliefs. So that's why it is sometimes the conflict is coming in this mind. And approach to approach conflict. This conflict arises when there are two or more alternatives with positive consequences. So in this situation, a person has this choice between these alternatives, and that seems to be equally attractive. So that is another type of conflict in the mind or things. Shall I do these things or shall I go this way? Maybe you are in the path in the journey, and sometimes there are two ways, two paths there. Now you don't know, you may be confused. Shall I go in this way or that way? So lot of things you have to see. If I go this way, maybe a lot of struggle will be there. And this way, if I go there, maybe the less struggles are there. So you have to see the values, your conditions, and ultimate aim, which your objectives are there. So this is your sometimes approach conflict are there. Which directions I should go, which alternatives I should take it. So that is another way of conflict coming. So it is the approach type of conflict here. Some of the basic conflicts are there. There is a avoidance conflict. It has happened most of the times because a situation in which a person has to select one or more alternatives with a negative outcomes. So means he just avoiding tendency because always he has not happily granted the things, not accept the things, or not taking the decisions right way. So approach avoidance conflict. The conflict that happens in a situation in which an individual should choose something with positive and negative results. Because so this person choose accept a nice job in an understanding and desired place. Maybe he has taken, but due to some situation or environment, it is not favorable, the conditions. So this is also, it is an avoidance conflict. Most of the cases, the postings and transfer cases. So sometimes our employees are reluctant to change these situations. So this is some sort of, you can see the avoidance conflict. Interpersonal conflict. So it is probably the most recognized and the popular conflict which arises between two or more individuals. So it is an internal conflict within the things. This is what most people associates as a conflict. So in our organizations, it can be happen because of the differences that occurs between the two peoples. So within the two peoples, sometimes the conflict are there. A conflict may happen between the two managers also, because of the limited manpower and the capital resource. Because of that, compete for the same promotions. Maybe both the managers are due for the promotions. They are competitive with each other. That is also some sort of conflict, the interpersonal conflict. So moreover, this conflict may take place between the managers and bosses also, and the supervisors and the workers, or between the workers and within the workers also. So anyway, there are any combinations the conflict can be coming up. These all are sort of your interpersonal conflict. The causes that leads to the conflict are the personality differences. Because this type of things, when the interpersonal conflict, basically it is your personality differences and perceptions also, values, labels, your classes, and interest, power, one of the things, and the status differences, and the lack of informations, role in comparability, stress, and the scarce your resources. So that's why that because of that the conflict coming up, because in the storehouse in inventory because some materials are not there. So definitely the managers just start stress and it leads to the conflict also, because he has some target also. He has to finish it up the jobs by today, some of the items to finish it up, because due to lack of your materials it could not be possible. So some sort of your conflict will start. Then intra-group conflict. It happens when a person in a group works to achieve a different goal than the other group in the organizations. So within the group, sometimes it is a problem because the person is feeling something. This is the good things, but as a group, they are not in different directions. So conflict happens at the organizational levels. It is normal that all the groups, both formal and informal, tend to establish the particular operational standards and behavioral principles which are adhered to by the members of the groups. The member may have some social needs also that oblige him to stay within the group, but simultaneously he may not agree with the group's goals and the way required for the achieving the such goals. Because it has happened, suppose some employee, he needs this service, but the salary of the earning for the family, to run the family, to feed the foods and other needs has to fulfill. So because of that constraints in the mind, he has to obey, or maybe his mind is not allowing the things, but still he is in the service and he is working in the groups or in the company, but not full-fledged willingness, because somewhere his mind are not allowing the some of the things. So he is not agreeing the all the things. What are the group's goals? He has not feeling or feeling the happiness. So such conflicts may also happen between the leaders. This type of things, leader to leader, the conflict is there within the group, maybe with their followers also, or between the managers also, the groups and the subordinates. So altogether, the conflict can be anywhere because of the different agree in different ideas. So intergroup conflict may also happen if there are disagreements among the members of the same group. So disagreement can be happen among the groups also. Now intergroup conflict. Intergroup conflict means the conflict arises between the different groups. Before we have within the group discusses, now between the two groups in an organizations. each seeking to accomplish their objectives. Every group has some targeted, some of the objectives they are targeted, decided by the, formulated by the or decided by the top management. They has to fulfill their objectives. So sometimes that's called an intergroup. And now within this group, group to group, they are conflicting. Everybody, finance department are saying something because they have some target, some budgetary problems. But production cells, they are require some another objectives. They have to fulfill the target, their productions. So budgetary constraints, and they are the production highlighting for the sales department interacting. So lot of integral parts are there. So conflict can be anywhere, any situations within the groups. So if we say the finance department is one group, productions is another group, sales is another group, sales have some different target. So conflict are there. The type of conflicts are we are saying is the intergroup conflict. Individuals tend to form various groups when there is a demand for industrial conflict. There. So therefore, the intergroup conflict may not be too much your naturally the personals, because it is not a personal conflict, it is a group conflict. The harmony among all the independent groups is considered as an essential factor for the organizational success as a whole. So the prime requirement to keep the situations in a very harmony, and everybody has to be and obey the things, respect each others, so that factors can be nullified, and so the organizations can success as a whole. Then inter-organizational conflict. Inter-organizational conflict has four types, including the vertical conflict, then horizontal conflict, line staff conflict, and the role conflict. Now we are talking about the organizations, inter-organizations, this is within the organizations. So they are vertically in all the directions, because of all the directions that are horizontal, vertical, and line staffs are there. So there are different conflict out there. So they have distinctive features. However, they can overlap, particularly with the roles. Then, while the horizontal conflicts happen among the departments or the staff with the similar organizational hierarchical levels. So, in addition, the line staff conflict as a line departments are assisted by the staff members in the most organizations. So, the relationship between the staff members often creates conflicts, because the staff members in the different most of the cases, maybe in the clerical staff, in the account sections, or maybe other those who are directly interact with the public dealing officers. So their conflict is a common features. Another thing is role conflicts, because I have some officer, I use a supervisor, he is a worker. So that conflict is also there in the actions expected to be performed by the individuals in their positions, because the officers, he has to do his responsibility. He has, what are the responsibility he has assigned, he has to do it. If he is not doing the things, maybe the conflict will start. Worker, he has assigned the jobs. So that conflict arises depending on the positions. It means if you are in a positions, and in that positions, what are the job or the objectives that are assigned to you, that responsibility you undertake. You are not doing 100% or not giving the 100%. So conflict will start. Maybe the other department, other fellow can complain or start saying something. So that's why the things are arise. Now, inter-organizational conflicts. Again, the the part in this. Interorganizational conflicts happen between the organizations, organization which to some extent depends on the each other. All conflicts inherent in organizational levels involve the conflicts that occur at the individual levels or group levels. So now, as on whatever we have said, discussed so far, so that seems now we can say the different level of conflicts, different condition of the conflicts, and so many everywhere, every levels, positions, conflicts that can be arise, and to that's why the focus should be or importance are to that area, how to reduce the things, how to solutions should be there to reduce that. That's why this chapter, basically this course, industrial conflict are very important, because when you are dealing with the humans, because it's not a machines, so we have to see the mental levels, their behavior patterns, so that to avoid the conflicts as much as possible, so that any industry can be in a success path. Now, some of the effects of the conflict, the type of conflict, as we have already discussed some of things. Now, here elaborately some of the things are the list of the negative effects of the conflict. Suppose what are the if the conflict is there, suppose for example, so what are the negative effects will be there? Well, number one, there is your psychological responses. Then absenteeism because of absent and other things, lack of interest to the work, job dissatisfactions, then the work distress, then your alienations of the from others, then disappointments. So all these things are type of things are pertaining to your psychological responses. Then we have to see some of the behavioral responses. That is for example, wasting of time. Then employees leave the organizations. Then sabotage, health costs. So in a conflict situation, an individual may tend to achieve and promote his selfishness or self-interest or personal gain at the cost of organizations or the others. So taking bad decisions are also, and the tending to unnecessary restructuring, because you are taking some of the bad decisions, and then after that again you are start restructuring itself. So it is a wastage of time, wastage of money, and your energy also. So the lack of job motivations or the low motivations. So all these things are your pertaining to behavioral responses. Now let's see some of the sources of conflict. ये sources conflict कहाँ से होता है, उसका source निकालना है. Introduction of change, because the change can breed intergroup, because sometimes you are changing some of the things within the group, because maybe okay from tomorrow we shift to that department, or maybe from tomorrow we have to transfer to that areas. So that change, it may sometimes the employees are taking as a punishment, but it is not a punishment as such, because maybe the requirement, but it is inbuilt in the mind initially in the human nature's resistance. So that due to some resistance, the conflict in the mind. Another thing is your acquisition and mergers, because maybe you are your organizations, you are acquire some of the other companies. So there the culture, their way of the practices of the work practices are maybe different. So when they are joining as acquisitions or merger as such, so then there are two cultures, different method of people, working people are together. So their chances of because of the changes, there are mixing. It will take time. The cultural differences, with the what style differences, so conflict can start. Then encourage intergroup conflict, then some competitions. So and stress, so competition and stress. So all these areas are basically the introduction of change. Because of the changes, the conflict. I'm just talking about the sources of the conflict. Another sources, that is the nature of the communications, because one of the major fallacies that is abounding about the conflict is that poor communications is the cause of all conflicts. Because the communication is not good, then the conflict will be there. So that is another source of conflict, and we can say it is the nature of communications. Now, aggressive nature of people. Some people always in aggressive natures. Is this a factor? The immense potentials for generating the conflict within the organizations is personality and your characteristics that account for the individual differences. So aggressive nature of people create a conflict within the groups, within an organization. So sometimes the conflict can also be within the organizations also, and the conflict between the organizations. So these are all we are talking about all the sources of the conflict. Conflict कहाँ से हो सकता है? The resources. Then approaches to conflict resolutions. Now we are talking about. So far we have seen the conflict, why it is conflict, what the definition of the conflict. So many areas we have discussed, and the resources also conflict also we have discussed. Now we have to see the approaches to solutions, to resolution to things. So conflict resolution is the process for the resolving or managing dispute by the share each sides. Then adequately addressing their interest, so that they are satisfied with the outcomes. The choice of method depends on the nature of the conflict and the disputants' attitudes. Now we look. There are 5 conflict resolution methods. Now we have to see there are 5 methods are there: negotiation and the bargaining, then your coercions, then mediations, then educations, arbitrations. There are different methods are there. Suppose some of the parties are involved in the process, discussions are there, and voluntary agreement. So sometimes they have come to the point, and finally the chapter is closed, or some of the agreement for the 3 years or 5 years, something they have negotiated. That is a negotiation and the bargaining culture. I mean, collective bargaining. Through this way, they can solve the things. Another thing, the method is conflict. The parties involved in conflict are forced to agree to a particular conclusions. Suppose the management or maybe the unions are pressurized the things. You have to do this or that, these things. So physical force or threats sometimes based on these, at least some temporarily that can be close the chapters. So that is another process. That is your. It is not advisable because of the organization point of view, but sometimes it has happened. Then your mediations. So it is a third party to help the conflicting parties come to a mutually satisfactory agreement. Because when both the parties are not satisfying each other, their conflict is continuing. Maybe the third party can come and solution that, and they can assist things for part of these negotiations. and finally both the sides things. Another is educations. It is the power of the state legal systems provide the authorities. Uh, the conclusions are there that some of the legal systems through this way it can come and conclude the chapters. Another part is this the arbitration. The arbitration involves an impartial third party to decide through the prior mutual consent and the issues to dispute. This party makes the authoritative final decisions to which all the disputants must adhere because that arbitrator can decide the thing and both the parties has to be follow the things. He has deciding party. So this is a different process of this to solve the conflicts. Now, different methods to manage the conflict, that is your avoidance, because one way to manage the conflict is avoidance. So avoidance styles can best be described as non your confrontational because you are not willing to confront the things. So that is the avoidance types. Let go like this. Then your another things accommodations because the person is using the accommodating style when he or behavior is agreeable and non-assertive because okay, he is accommodating, accepting the things, some of the things, and agree the things are like this. Win or loss styles. Another thing is just known as a classic conflict during the which a person is your confrontational, aggressive, and must win the cost. And another sometimes he is totally disagreed and needs to other persons. So that is a different style for the win or loss styles. Problem solving styles. It is also known as a collaborative type. It is used to when the both the partners have a high degree of respect for each other and consider the needs to be other. So it is very respectfully the things are going on. Different style. Here actually we are just talking about the different styles. Another is your compromising styles because the person is using the compromising styles when he or she both the assertives and the cooperative natures. See in this process the person gives upcoming sometime in order to gain and something else and will only the partially satisfied but still as compromising okay no problem maybe there are 10 points at least 7 points is satisfied 3 points are not satisfying still okay so that is another stage. Classification of the industrial disputes. Now we have been talking about the what are the classifications. Now here ILO, that is your international labor organizations. There are some rules and regulations are there. There's and the constellations of the industrial disputes. The first in India region in 1980. It was published. Two main types of disputes they are related. One is your conflicts of interest. Another is conflicts of right. There are two rights that we have described. That these are called the conflicts of the interest, or economic dispute also, or collective labor dispute. We can say it. So first one is related to completely your labor. You can say interest. These disputes arrived out of the deadlocks in the negotiations for a collective agreement. Another disputes are that is your known as the legal disputes, or you can say the conflict of rights, because any rights are definitely it will be go to the court and from the court will decide the things. So it is a legal process. So legal disputes. So these disputes arise from day-to-day workers' grievances or the complaints based on these. And there are two other types of disputes that are related to organizational rights. classification of the industrial disputes. So disputes over the fair, that is your labor practices. This type of disputes are also known as the trade union victimizations. This is another. Some unfair things are going on with the labor practices. So that's time. That is it. Who will raise these things? The trade unions are basically the things that type of dispute normally are your trade union victimizations. Recognition disputes. This type of dispute arises when the management of an undertaking or in the employees' organizations to recognize a trade union for purposes of the collective bargaining. Now, the causes of industrial dispute. Now we have to see why the industrial dispute are coming up. I mean, why? The cause is inherent in a situation for at least 4 reasons. As suggested by the Clark K. There are 4 reasons he has described. One reason, the desires of the parties, and the less unlimited by the means of satisfaction. There is an eternal oppositions or the inherent between the employers and the employer and the workers, which may be made bearable but cannot be eliminated in a complex or the industrial society. Third, third number he has suggested the reasons basically that industrial societies are dynamic because of the societies are dynamic. The situation keep on changing. So due to various factors. So this is another way we can see the conflict are coming basically. And the fourth one is the management and the labor are to retain their institutional identities. So they are to discourage and must act on the disagreement. So in general, the sources which give rise to industrial dispute can broadly be divided into. Now again, further it is divided in internal causes and external causes. Internal causes are which concerns only the employer and the employee within the industry or a firm. That is the internal. External causes are for the outside of the industry and which concerns all the industries in the country. That I will discuss what are the external causes. Some politics, maybe the economic problems or anything that is also causes of the industrial conflict can start. Now, internal causes. Another thing, your wages, because the salaries are not good or some dispute are there, it is not at par with the market or not at par the other companies. So because of that conflict, industrial conflict can arise. Working conditions, that is also very important. And another thing is the fear of insecurity. So it may be the anxiety can come in the mind, and slowly that anxiety can form as a conflict. Personal sources, then psychological sources, sociological sources. So all are your internal cause. Now external cause, that is a political cause. So important political factors which give the rise to labor unrest. Because if some political leaders are leave these things or maybe politically arrest or unrest. So reputation that is in a legislative measures. Suppose some arrest of any political leaders, so it will affect in trade union and even in the particular the industries also. So that overthrow of the peasant political order, then boys in the management of the farms. So that is also created some. So all are the part of your external causes. Sharing project. Suppose particularly in this project, their share are not distributed properly, or maybe the profit margins are not distributed, the compensations are not given in proper way. So that time it may create some of the conflict. The following factors have cumulative way the disputes are there. There is a demand for the higher wages. Higher wages, higher salaries. Another things, your bonus. Even though the bonus act is there, but still the workers of the trade union, they are demanding more to the organizations. So sometimes it is reasonable, sometimes it is not reasonable. So the conflict will start. Another issue is this is a retrenchment and the layout apart from this, because some of the ad hoc labors are not permanent, or maybe retrenchments have started without any solid reasons. So there are the causes, or the important factors for the causing the industrial disputes. So because of that, maybe the industrial dispute can rise. Another issues are there's a demand for the accommodations, because sometimes the employees are demanding for the quarters or maybe the accommodations. So this is also one of the because the location is very far away from the cities, and then naturally the employees will demanding the accommodations quarters. So if the company is not fulfilling, then it may create your conflict. Other issues, your medical facilities. Suppose the employee are working for their what are the salaries that they're getting, and maybe if any eventuality in the family side, or maybe side any accidental or any hospitalizations. So if sufficient medical facilities are not there, then it may create a conflict. Leave travel allowances, because every year with the family they have to go for the rejuvenate the bodies, the mind, to relaxation of the mind. So it's so LDC, leave travel allowance also should be there. Otherwise, the conflict may start. Here, actually, I am talking about what are the demand by this. What are the important factors for the industrial disputes? Recognition of the trade unions, because sometimes the unions are not recognized. So that is another issue. Leave and hour of work, the timing, basically the timing, working hours. Since the industrial society is dynamic, the subject matters of the dispute may change in the changed environment. So all these factors or issues are there for the your industrial disputes, basically the things, areas. Now, form of the industrial actions. Now that lot of actions are developed, the conflicts are epidemic to industrial society. The advantage of the labor management cooperations and the interests of the labor and the management usually seem to be opposed. Most of the cases, it has seen that labors and the management, maybe the values, the status, the labels are different. So conflicts may either be sustained and organized or unorganized. What about the unorganized conditions? The result is industrial actions. why the disputes, basically the industrial actions, if we reduce the thing, what are the saying, the listed things, absenteeisms, what to do, go slow, picking, why these things are happening in the industry. If we restrict the things, we can localize the things, the matter, by the virtue of giving some of the packages, and this area are looking by the organizations, then definitely conflict will not be there. So that's why it is the action plan. So all the organizations should have some action plan to reduce the absenteeisms and work to flow. So that's why some methods, practices, good practices to be adopted. Another, the strike, how to restrict the strike and demotions and layoff, then your retrenchments, terminations, lockout, all are the things are actions. Basically, the area where it is the formation of your due to conflict, everything are. So different forms. Ghirao is another terms in the Ghirao. As you know, the people are workers are not allowed to the boss to come out from rooms. So different issues are there. So action are to be taken is a common form. These all are basically the common forms we are taking. Band, strike, then demotion, all these things. Now the settlement of the industrial disputes in the India. Now in the India, the statutory settlement machineries are there, and the industrial dispute is 1947 was enacted to promote the industrial peace by providing the appropriate machineries and amicable settlement of the disputes arising between the employer and employees. That is statutory instructions are there. The promotion of the measures to secure the cordial relations between the labor and the management, investigation and the settlement of the industrial disputes for which the machinery is provided. Number 3, that the prevention of the legal strikes and the lockouts. These all are statutory instructions are given. What the condition you can go, what condition you cannot go it. So everything are layoff and the retrenchment, because the provision of the relief for the matters, because any organizations cannot do it as per its own. Some rule, you have to follow some of the instructions which are depicted by in the industrial disputes. The government which arise in the peaceful industrial scenario has then intervenes and it has formulated a statutory machinery for the resolution of the disputes under the Industrial Disputes Act 1947. Apart from statutory, there are non-statutory approaches for the resolving and the instant disputes. Recently, in the year 2020, in the 2020, government has come up with various labor codes, and the Industrial Relations Code, that is 2020, has made certain changes in the existings and the ID 1947. So these are all of the industrial conflict there. I mean, the government has also taken an initiative, lot of measures they have taken like this. In the last, I can say some of the questions, type of question. What do you mean by the industrial conflict? Then explain the various type of conflicts, outline the various industrial actions, industrial disputes, and indicate various the types of disputes. Settlement, as I said right now, the statutory provision of the settlements, mention the non-statutory methods and what proposed changes have been made in these things. So this is the lot of questions given. So hope these sessions are effectively beneficial for the learners. So thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thanks. नाम क्या नहीं है
अरे अभी आ रहा है वो भी देखो ना कैंसिल हो गया था कैंसिल लगते हैं वाले
वही से
बना लिया
क्या हो इसमें